All righty. And we're on. Okay. All righty. Welcome back to another fun episode of A Shadowy Flight. And we have, as usual with us, we have Mr. Scott.
Peace.
And we have Mr. Greg.
Good morning.
And we have a new guest this morning, Mr. Simon.
Hey, how are you?
So Simon got on here and is going to give us some information about his vehicle. So Simon, I want you to take it away.
Simon.
Okay, so I started looking probably August, September 22. Decided that I wanted to do a Knightrider replica. Hey, I'm not getting any younger. So if I'm going to do it, I might as well do it while I'm still able to.
You look good.
You look about 20, 25.
I'm 52 in a couple of weeks, so thanks for that, Mike. You're my new favourite best friend. So no, I started looking, and I work for Ford Motor Company. I'm a manager for Ford, and so obviously my director is based in Dearborn. So I thought it'd be handy if I could find a vehicle somewhere in the sort of Metro Detroit area, because it means trying to pick something up and store it whilst waiting to ship it to the UK would be easier if I could speak to my boss very nicely and say, Dan, you know you love me. Could you go and look for a car for me? And here we go. Anyway, so I was looking, and a lot of the stuff.
So just out of curiosity, so I'm assuming there's not. I mean, I know the cars. Did the cars ever exist in the UK? Were they ever shipped there originally? Or no?
Yeah, a small number of personal imports. They were never sold here.
Okay, so they're never officially sold there. They're just all imported here and there.
No, as you can imagine, trying to get parts for them locally here is very difficult. There's a few really, really good guys in the third gen community that are in the UK, and we all look after each other. So if anyone's got any parts, there's no rip-off prices for stuff. Everything's sort of good value, and when we meet up, we go to each other's houses and swap parts and all sorts of stuff. So that's quite good.
So even just regular small block Chevys, not a lot of them out there?
No. I mean, obviously we're lucky because you've got Rock Auto and places that you can get stuff from. And there's a couple of places in the UK. One's called Real Steel that you can get parts from. And there's a few others that, people regularly bring container loads worth of stuff from the US into the UK. So they keep stocks of stuff here. But to be honest, Rock Auto, if I order something from there, it's here in 2 days.
Oh,
so I can't complain. And when you buy it from the UK, you buy it in pounds, you pay your taxes, you pay your import duty. It's all done in one go, and then they ship it to you, and it just arrives in 2 days. So hats off to them. They're fantastic. They're really, really good. But yeah, so I started looking in September 22, August, September 22, and most of the stuff that I was seeing was typical kind of Rust Belt crap.
Watch yourself, buddy, okay?
Was no floor pans, and the arches were rotted, and absolute mess. But this one car came up, and it was based not far out of Flat Rock, so close to where my new Mustang that I'm getting this week was built. And
you gotta pick a brand, man. You can't be jumping back and forth.
Oh, well, I'm a Ford guy. Ford pay the bills, and but I've always had a soft spot for the third gens because of Knightrider, and second gens because of Smoking the Bandit. So it's kind of allowed. It's one of those forbidden things that I'm allowed to do. But I'm a car guy at the end of the day, so if it's good, I like it. But anyway, so looking at this stuff, this one particular car came up, and the guy was asking $6,000 for it to start with. And it was white, and I couldn't see if it was a Trans Am or a GTA from some of the images, because it was off like the 85 on with the vents in the hood and everything else like that. I'm having a look at it thinking, the doors don't look like they fit properly. It looks like it's had a bit of a hard life, but we'll keep an eye on it. And then I noticed the price came down, and it came down to, I think, like $4,500. And I messaged him and I said, look, I'm interested, but you haven't said if it runs and drives. You've put some pictures up that are clearly old pictures. They don't look new or current. So I'm interested, but not at that kind of money. because obviously for me it's a big risk. I've got to try and get the thing running and driving so I can get it driven up onto a trailer and taken away to export to the UK. So he said to me, well, what sort of money are you thinking of? So I thought, I'll lowball him.
Do it.
At least to start with.
Absolutely.
What you do, right? So I just went in at $2,000 and
$500.
and he said, would that be cash money? And I said, yeah, I can get you cash money. And he said, well, if that's all you'll do, he said, all right, $2,000 is yours.
Lucky.
Nice.
So I thought, shit, I should have said 1,500. But anyway, so I said, well, look, I'll get my boss to come and have a look at it. And he's a car guy anyway, obviously, and he's had many third gens in his time. So he went home, put his trailer on the back of his F-150, went to the bank, drew out $2,000, and he went to have a look at this car. And he said to me, he phoned me up, and he said, look, dude, if you don't have it, I'm having it. So he said, I cannot find any structural corrosion on it anywhere. He said, the rocker panels are solid. The floors look pretty good. He said, I've had a look underneath it.
Inappropriate.
There doesn't appear to be any bad accident damage anywhere. So he said, I've spun it over. The fuel pump doesn't run and there's no spark. He said, but the engine doesn't have a gallop in it at all. It spins over evenly. He said, the interior smells like mouse pee and gym socks. So he said, that needs some attention. But other than that,
just how third gens. Isn't that just how third gens smell? Like they smell like a mouse crap
yeah.
Like,
So anyway, so the guy sent me a walk around video that he'd taken, and he had it locked up in one of these, the U-Haul lockers that you see on the TV, the storage lockers, and he had this strange song, I can't remember what it was, playing in the background. I've actually heard it on the radio since, and he had like an incense stick stuck in the windshield rubber, burning, and I'm like, well, okay. And then so he does this walk around. In fact, I will send you the walk around video because it is the funniest thing. And anyway, so he's showing me the car, and he's got this real southern accent, and he says, a little tune up on this thing will be good for hitting the highway and all that kind of stuff. And then he sits in the car and he opens the glove box between the seats and he goes, and that's the weed box.
No shit, huh?
And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, what am I buying? What am I buying? So I'm like, so anyway, so Dan looked at the car, he said, it's all good, but it doesn't start. So, well, okay, right, we'll have it. So we put it on the trailer. So my first purchase for the car
Hookers. Blow. Hookers.
was a new center console. Because I thought there is no way I'm having a sniffer dog crawling over that when I'm trying to put it in a container to send it to the UK. If it's had
my God,
finding it, so that went straight in the trash. But no, I've got an 82 to 84 center console, and I've made a lot of friends in the community through buying parts, and people have been great. But yeah, I bought the center console in 5 separate pieces. That was probably my single most expensive part that I bought for it. It was $500 it cost me for the center console.
Oh, sounds like you got hit with the Knightrider tax too.
Yeah, absolutely. But my other passion, for any other Ford guys out there, I've got a Ford Sierra Cosworth, which is you get hit with the Cosworth tax on everything. I built that 9-10 years ago. It's been on the road for 9 years now. So anything you buy from the standard like 1.6 Pinto engine Sierra Sapphire, which is the same bodily, every part, every nut, bolt, washer, screw, whatever, people sell it as from a Cosworth and they put a 0 on the end of the price. So absolutely used to paying tax on parts. But even my PMD seats, I had a really good deal on those. I bought the seats before I actually owned a third gen, because I committed myself, I'm definitely going to get one. And a guy called Eric Ritter, who's on a lot of the forums, he was advertising a set on Facebook Marketplace, and he had them up for $900. Which at the time was about 750 British pounds. And that's nothing for a pair of Recaros for a Cosworth. You're looking at 1,500. So I thought, well, okay, that's not bad. And they didn't look like most of the ones that you see advertised. Most of the stuff you see looks like it's been half eaten by a dog.
Yeah.
And then left out in the rain for 3 years. So these were actually in pretty good shape. So he said to me, he said, "Are you in a rush for them?" Because I'm trying to work out how the hell am I going to get them from, I forget where he is, he might be Illinois somewhere. How am I going to get them from there to Dearborn? Putting them on a pallet's expensive to ship, isn't it? I mean, when I was looking at shipping the hood, even moving from state to state, that was hundreds of dollars to ship one.
Yep.
So anyway, so he said to me, "Well, look," he said, "if you're not in a rush, I'm going to a wedding in Michigan in January." So I'm like, well, okay, well, I don't own a car yet, so it's not a problem because when I ship them to the UK, they're going to get shipped in the car. So he said, "Well, I'll deliver them for you." And I said, "Dude, I can't ask you to do that. Whereabouts are you going to this wedding?" And he said where it was, and it was like a couple of hours away. And I'm like, "Dude, but he's here." And he's like, "It's fine." And he said, "Look, I've got my wife, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law. I can drop them at the wedding, and it gives me the excuse to disappear for the rest of the day." So he said, "Dude, you're doing me a favor." So I'm like, oh, "Okay, great."
Nice.
So yeah, so he delivered those for me. So everything's just fallen into place. And I managed to buy lots and lots of parts to put onto it. And obviously, when you're shipping a vehicle over, you have to pay obviously import duty on the price of the car, but you're allowed to repair it.
Duties. What duties?
So if there's things on it that aren't in a condition that are, roadworthy, clean, safe, whatever, you can do that. So we got the car running and driving. We put all new brakes on it. We put a new distributor, new fuel pump. Dan, my boss, actually dropped the tank out to change the pump rather than cut the inspection window in the floor.
Oh God, yeah. Someone cut a hole in mine. I got a new tank and everything for mine, but someone cut a hole in it already. So
yeah. Mine's got the original tank, but yeah, he put the new pump in there for me, and it was good that he did, because when he took the tank down, where the filler neck tube goes into the tank, there was actually a leak around there. And someone had kind of rednecked it up with some goo, which had gone crusty and come apart again. So he's done a proper repair on that.
Is that the term in the UK, redneck it up?
Yeah, well, it's one of the things that we'd say as well. Yeah, we've got our own rednecks in the UK.
Oh, it's universal.
Yeah, it's universal. See, I'm from Indiana. Most people think we're nothing but rednecks in Indiana. It's like, yeah, we definitely got some, but it's okay. I can live with it.
Kentucky guy's not saying anything.
What's your thing? Oh, yeah, nice, sweet, yeah.
Fifth, man.
Everything's fallen into place with it. So I got a set of the early rear lights. I bought a set of door cards from. They might have been from either Rock Auto or someone else like that. The replica door cards.
Yeah, I got mine from Classic Industry, and they were
So I got those and put those on. Did the seats? So I got the carpet from Rock Auto as well. Got that delivered. Yeah. I did things like I bought new door rubbers, the T-top rubbers, all that kind of stuff. Just to literally throw stuff in the car and on the car where possible, just to ship it. I did a complete inventory of what was in the car, and that all went with it. That got sent to the shipping agent, and it landed in the UK, and I paid a nominal fee to get it back. To get it off the container. But it was quite a novel thing, because I managed to follow the shipping process of the vehicle completely. So I got a nice video of the car being collected from my boss's house and loaded onto the trailer, which then was driven due east out to New Jersey to get put in the container on the ship. The guy must have been driving at light speed, because he averaged something like 75 miles per hour on the journey.
Oh no, that's about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's this thing, and so I worked with a lot of cops when I worked at a dealership. We were a Dodge dealer, and they drove Dodge Chargers. So I worked with a lot of cops, and they all had 99 out of 10 of them having the same saying: 9 you're fine, 10 you're mine. And the speed limit's 70 anyway. So yeah, 75. That's slow in my book. Shit, I don't know what's that.
Yeah, well, that was like it looked like some kind of dually pickup with a fifth wheel on it, pulling this. Well, for us, a pretty huge car trailer that you could get 3 cars on end to end. And so for that, but it's strange. I mean, I got photographs and video of it being driven away, loaded up. I got photographs sent to me when it landed in New Jersey and was offloaded, which is all good. And then the guy that shipped the vehicle for me, he did me a fantastic price, and I was happy with that. But somehow between when the vehicle landed in New Jersey and when it was put in the container, the windshield got smashed.
Oof.
And so he, obviously he sent me the pictures as he was putting it in the container, because I said I wanted to document it for a YouTube video for the shipping process. And I said to him, I said, look, the windshield's broken. How the hell has that happened? And he said, oh, it must have been the shipping guy, when they drove it from Michigan. And I'm like, well, no, I've got photographs that he sent me when the vehicle arrived in New Jersey, and the windshield's fine. So he said, well, I'll look into it. It must have been a rock chip that's hit it. And then when we put it into our air-conditioned warehouse, it must have been a temperature change and it's cracked. And I'm like, dude, come on. So I said, look, I paid for insurance with you guys, so can you just weigh me out for the cost of a new windshield? And he pushed back, no, it wasn't us. It must have been a rock on the road. And I'm like, well, it looks to me like it's been like a nail from a nail gun that's bounced off, and because obviously they make all the framework in the container out of wood and they nail it all together.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
No, it's definitely not us. It wasn't us. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And I'm thinking, well, I've got to take the windshield out when I paint it anyway. So it looked like the original windshield because it had the Pontiac emblem on the sun strip at the top. So I thought, well, there's a good chance it's going to break when it comes out anyway. So, okay, all right, I'll suffer it. But yeah, so I've got the windshield here, which wasn't cheap, as you can imagine. But hey, I've got a brand new windshield in it. So that was that. We shipped the car, and a friend of mine is a cop down at the port in Southampton in the UK. So when the ship came in, he said to me that he would go and meet it and do a little video clip of the ship being unloaded, and so just so we could add it into the YouTube. But I just being me and being a super nerd, I went overboard. So I actually then I found out the name of the vessel it was shipped on, and then I started using all these marine apps to track where the vessel was. And I had about sort of 12 different logins with different email addresses because you could only check it like twice or 3 times a day. So I just kept rotating email addresses through to get these free checks on there.
That's awesome.
We were on holiday in the west coast of Ireland, where my wife's from, and I stood outside a sports shop, and they were in getting a GAA top for my stepson and whatever else, the Gaelic football stuff, and all of a sudden I had a message come up on my phone because I'd also geofenced the port, so when the ship got to anywhere near the port, I'd get an alert on the phone. So anyway, so I had the alert go off on the phone, and I'm stood there in the middle of this street. So I'll see if I can get a decent enough signal. So I managed to get some Wi-Fi from the shop, and then I looked where it was. Oh, it's just coming into the port in Southampton. So then I Googled live webcam Southampton port, and as soon as that came up, the ship came into view with the one that had my car on it. So I was taking some screen grabs of that. Then I called the guy and he said, yeah, I know it's coming in. He said, I've seen it's coming in. I'm going to get down there now. So he got down there and took some video footage of it being offloaded. And then he said to me, right, I'm going to the container yard tomorrow. He said, and your container is going to get opened. So he said, I'll video the container, which he did. So he went to the yard, and you see the Manitou bringing the container over and dropping it down. And there was a Merca XR4 Ti in the container in front of mine. So he didn't video that coming out. So he videoed the doors opening and you see the Merca, and then he cut to mine being taken out of the container, and then they put the battery pack on and started it and drove it off into the parking lot. So that's kind of great. So right, I got that. So then we went down to the Southampton port, myself and my friend Trevor, with the trailer, and Trevor drove it up onto the trailer while I videoed it, and then we drove it home. So it's just been great. Everyone's been, as soon as they find out you're doing a Knight Rider car, and you guys have probably found the same, everyone wants to be involved. They all support you. They all think it's great. So I mean, I got no complaints about the way things have gone with this, even down to the hood. The guys in Yorkshire, they've been great, and Yorkshire Knights joined their forum, and one of the guys was selling a hood for £100. So that's like what, $130 or something equivalent.
Oh shit, yeah.
And I thought, oh, wow, I'm not going to get one that cheap anywhere else. And I said to him, look, you know, cards on the table, I'm doing a Knight Rider replica. And he's like, yeah, everyone is, you know, we know. And he said, look, you've joined the group, you're a part of the group. If you want it, it's yours. He said, all I need is I do need to have the catch and the spring off the inside to put on the hood that I'm swapping it for. He said, but it's rusty. And it's the usual thing when you get on the third gens where the outer panel of the hood is fine, but the inner panel of the hood has started to delete itself from the front backwards. So what we end up doing is I asked a friend of mine who's in the police in Yorkshire. So he turns up and puts the hood on the roof of the car and straps it down, and it sat in the police impound locker for 3 or 4 months. While one of my other friends was up in the air and he brought it back down in his truck for me. So, you know, the hood was even delivered for nothing because one of my other friends was up there. So it's just everything.
He wasn't in jail, was he? I mean,
No. No, he was
Fair
up
enough.
there. He was up there collecting more car parts from another mutual friend. So it just happened to everything fell in the right place. So
I mean, it sounds like it's a very kind of, I wouldn't say different, but it's probably a closer car community over there, especially when it comes to American cars, I think. It sounds like, because you guys really have to, it's really hard for you to get, to get the stuff and get the parts and all that kind of stuff, because obviously here, we have a hard time getting some stuff, but 9 out of 10 times there's some equivalent to what we want. It was put on some other car.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned the Mercer, the XR4 Ti. I remember a buddy of mine had one of those in school, and if I remember correctly, experimental rear-wheel drive 4-cylinder inline turbo is what XR4 Ti stood for. Something to that effect, if I get those things messed up. And that car was really hard to get parts for. And it got to a point where you just said, this just isn't worth it anymore. Keep dealing with this damn thing. Yeah. And that was essentially a Ford, if I'm not mistaken.
It was, yeah. So that we had the Sierra XR4i, which was launched a couple of years before the XR4 Ti. So because the XR4 Ti was actually made in Germany.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't actually made in the US. So it was made in Carmen, which is in Innsbruck in Germany, and it was based on the European Ford Sierra. But the company didn't call it a Ford because they wanted to try and kind of compete with the 3 Series BMW and the C-Class Mercedes. So they decided to sell it under the Mercury banner. And obviously then they called it Merkur because that's German for Mercury.
Yeah, Merkur.
So that's what was done. It was done to kind of give it that European feeling. But it was basically the European Ford Sierra, but it had the 2.3 Lima turbo engine, which was from the old Mustang, the
Turbo
Fox body Mustang.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
that's the only Mustang I ever owned is the Fox body.
Yeah. So no one actually knows what XR really stands for. People used to say like it was extra racy. I mean, the XR series started in 1982 with a little Fiesta XR2. Now that was front-wheel drive, so the R bit definitely isn't for rear-wheel drive. But we had the Fiesta XR2, we had the Escort XR3, and then the Sierra XR4. So yeah, that was cool. But anyway, we're talking about third gens and Knight Rider, aren't we?
That's okay. Hey, I mean, it's a car show at the end of the day.
Well, I just have to remember which hat I'm wearing. So all of the parts for the car really came together well. But then it came to like paint and body. I'm not a paint and body guy. I bolt things together, and I'll paint small things. You've probably seen. I know Greg saw it. I think Scott saw it. I painted my interior plastics recently, and they came out really well. But anything that's big that people are going to see, generally I sort of get a professional to do it. But going around the body shops, trying to find someone that was willing to take on doing a whole car colour change, people are like, no, leave it with me for like 3 years and I might get around to doing it. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I've got 3 years. I've got friends that haven't made it this far in life. So it's like, you know, I want to try and get the thing done, and I had a target of getting it done for this summer. So I eventually found it, ID Morrison Sons in Dagenham, which is just up the road from the original Ford Dagenham plant, and they've been fantastic. The quality of workmanship there is second to none. They're not cheap, but you pay for what you get, right? And the value, I think it's great value, because what I'm actually getting is like a Pebble Beach quality car out of them, and that matches with the guy that did my interior for me. Again, the seats, I managed to get the seat material, the cloth from Joe at Knightrider Historians. I think it was one of the last lots of the replica Pirella cloth that he had. I got that delivered to my boss in Michigan. I met him in Germany last April on a business trip, and he handed me this material, and I was expecting, you know, with the material, it's normally got foam backing on it, right, for making car seats, the scrim foam, and because this was just the raw material, just come straight off the weave, and I'm like, shit, what do I do with this? But he handed it to me in a carrier bag, just said, I love pies on it. So I'm like, okay, that's me. And so I'm like, oh, okay, all right, because I was just expecting it to be, when he said he'll bring it over in his luggage, I think, dude, how are you going to get that in your luggage? Oh, well, okay, that's a you problem then, if you said you're going to do it. But anyway, so I got it back from Germany and took it to Lee, the trimmer, and I said to him, there you go, Lee, there's the material, and he just handed it back to me. He went, yeah, can't use it. What do you mean you can't use it? He said, well, it needs the foam on the back. And I went, okay, and I handed it back to him. I said, right, that's a you problem, you're the trim guy. And he said, look, I can try using spray mount glue to put the foam on there. He said, but I can guarantee you it's going to soak through, and you'll see it through the material, because obviously the material is quite thin. So he trimmed a little bit of material off. He said, look, come with me and I'll show you. So he had the kind of the contact adhesive in the aerosol can. So he sprayed a bit of foam with that and let it start to go tacky.
Okay.
And then he had the other stuff in like the spray gun with the air compressor connected to it. And he sprayed some of that on and put it, and sure enough, he was exactly right. You know, it bled through the material and it looked awful. So he said, look, this stuff, he said, there's a special machine that puts the foam backing onto the material. And I said, well, okay, can you get it done for me? He said, I've got no idea of anybody that does that. I'm sorry. So I'm like, oh, Christ. Okay. So we were in his workshop, and I actually Googled what machine laminates foam onto the back of material for car interiors. And it came up with this company in Luton in Bedfordshire. So I telephoned them and I said, look, you might think I'm crazy, but bear with me. And I told them what I was doing. I said, so I've got the material. I need it laminated onto scrim foam. So they said, well, we don't do that. We just manufacture the machines. So I'm like, okay, all right. Well, if you manufacture the machines, then you've got customers that you manufacture them for. So could you maybe give my details to your customers and say, look, would anyone be interested in doing it? So they said, let me take your details and we'll contact you back. So they did that. They contacted me back, and they said, look, none of our customers would do this because most of them are in Dubai and all sorts of places around the world. They said, but, you know, how many hundreds of yards of material do you have? And I laughed and I said, like, I've got about 12 yards. And he said, right, well, none of our customers would do that. He said, because they do it on an industrial scale. He said, like, the machines are running 7 days a week for 20 hours a day, just with a bit of maintenance in this. So he said they wouldn't do it. He said, but we've got a brand new machine that we're about to commission. And the company's called Reliant. And he said, you know, if you want, he said, if you bring the material to us, he said, if you get the foam, he said, we've got the sheets of adhesive that laminate it, you know, that bond it together. He said, we could use your material for commissioning the machine that we're building before we ship it out to the customer. I'm like, okay, all right. So myself and a friend of mine, Kyron, we visited there last year. Took the material and took the foam. I actually ended up getting car headliner material because Joe's Perilla cloth was wider than regular sort of rolls of material that you get in Europe. So to try not to waste it, I ended up getting a headliner material which was a lot wider, and we just bonded it on the back of that. So took it to Reliant, and they set it up on the machine. They had sort of 4 or 5 guys setting it all up, and sure enough, out of the machine comes this perfectly laminated Perilla cloth, and I'm looking at it thinking, "Wow, this looks amazing." So I delivered that back to Lee, the trimmer. He said, "Yeah, I can use this." And you've seen the seats, haven't you, Greg? They came out absolutely fantastic. Scott, you've seen them as well, haven't you? So yeah, again, that wasn't cheap. That was just under $3,000 to get the trimming done in pounds. But again, it's Pebble Beach quality. So in for a penny, in for a pound, as we say here, and kind of, you get what you get. I just wanted it to be knockout. I mean, there's lots and lots of Knightrider replicas in the UK. It's more common than you think.
We've seen a couple of Facebook groups, and there are a lot of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I tell you, there's some fantastic ones, some absolutely fantastic ones. And I'm insanely jealous of some of the people that got the Hoff's signature on the dash and things like that. I'll never get that with mine, obviously, but there you go. So I just there's a high standard already to meet. So I knew that that's the level that I had to try and achieve with mine to be taken seriously with it. And yeah, we're getting there. So yeah, all my electronics, my dash and the scanner all came through KRW.
Are you doing season 1 or season 4?
It's a bit of a mix. So I've got a pilot dash. Yeah, Greg, thumbs up with the mix. I've just kind of done it when you look at any of the episodes, even you start looking at stuff in season 3 and season 4, you'll see a season 1 bumper.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so I kind of like, well, do you know what? I prefer the season 1 bumper because trying to actually keeping the turn signals where they are. Kind of for me, I prefer the look.
Now that's a bigger thing for you guys over there with like the turn signals and keeping the car.
Yeah, so I've got to wire it up so I don't have the amber lights pointing forwards as side marker lights. I've got to have white ones, so I'm going to be burying those in my fog lights. So I should just be using the front amber lights as turn signals with separate side marker lights. We call them side lights. I'll just put some extra bulbs in the fog lamps in the bottom there, just so I've got those. I've also got to make sure I've got orange turn signals at the back because we're not allowed to have red turn signals. You can if it's a really, really like 1950s car, but for anything sort of newer than that, you have to have orange turn signals. So I should get a bit creative with that. But yeah, so it's just I've been overwhelmed with the support I've got from everybody.
Wink.
And you guys in the community in the States have been fantastic. I've made some fantastic friends. So for me, it's been an absolute pleasure to do this project. And I've got still a huge amount of work to go.
Yeah. Your car's in the body shop right now, right? You're still
So it's in the last throes of putting it back together. So I've just said to the guys, look, could you make the car watertight as much as a 3rd gen with T-tops can be watertight?
No,
because I've only got to bring it home 10 miles, but that 10 miles will probably take an hour in the traffic. Because they're in East London, so it's going through some London traffic. It's going to be a bit slow, and I've only got an open trailer to use. I haven't got an enclosed car trailer, so we're in the UK, so it's going to rain. It's a guarantee. So I figured, well, rather than get the inside of the car wet, at least let's get it dry, and by putting the T-tops on and everything else. So the guys are putting the glass in the doors. They've done the handles and latches and all that kind of stuff. So they're just swapping over the tailgate hinges. I bought, the billet hinges. You can get them on Amazon. They're about $40 or something like that. I bought a set of those 2 years ago, and I dropped all that stuff off to the body shop because mine had the usual overbite.
Whoa, that's a hell of an overbite.
Where the hinges had stretched and the tailgate was pointing too far back from the rear quarters. Yep. So right, okay, we'll put the billet ones on. So the guys, they were putting it all together, and they sent me a video of this hinge, and they said, "Dude, do you realize one of these hinges is cracked?" No way. And he showed me the pictures and video, and there was a hairline crack right the way through the hinge down to the hinge pin. They said, like, you know, with the weight of that tailgate, it's, you know, the lift gate is really heavy. He said, we don't want to put this hinge on. So he said, look, we'll put the one good hinge on and one of your other steel hinges for now, so we can assemble it. He said, but if you can sort us out another set of hinges, we'll put those on. So they arrived last week, and they're going on Monday. Tomorrow they're going to lift the lift gate off and put those on and put it all back together. But yeah, so it's, you know, it's the paint has come out fantastic. The guys there, the fantastic job. And I was talking about the hood earlier, so I ended up cutting the front sort of 6 or 8 inches off of
6, 8 inches to the left.
my original GTA style hood on my Trans Am, and gave that to the body shop, and they cut and sectioned that, and they've made repair panels and patched it all together. So the front inch or so, all the way along the lip around the headlamps and the very front part on my kit hood is actually from the old hood on my car, and then the 6 or 8 inches of the inner panel. But you can't see where it's been done. It's been they've done it so professionally. It is one hood.
I think RC3 would be proud of that.
He would, yeah, he would be very proud of that. So he'd also be proud of me that I've ordered my Mustang as a convertible that's coming this week. So.
Hey, you have to, what was his thing? He had at least 300 horse and a rag top.
Yeah.
It's like 300 horse. 300 horse will barely do 90 miles an hour. What are you talking about, man? Like,
well, considering the car is 185 horsepower.
Yeah.
What's that, Greg?
I said you got to remember, Kit at the time was a whopping 185 horsepower. So
yeah.
Slow down. Well, Super Pursuit Mode supposedly did over 300 miles an hour, and he's talking about a car with 300 horse. It's like, I don't think he did his math right. I'm not sure. But
your math isn't mathing.
That math ain't mathing at all.
Well, math is hard.
Yeah.
Oh, and how Bonnie didn't come with like RC. You're an idiot. Just go paint the car. Just don't talk to me right now. Like, you know, somehow he figured it out, but that's okay. I don't know what his job was.
No, so mine's not 300 horsepower. I've just got the standard sort of the 305 TPI.
Oh yeah, okay. So you have the 305.
Yeah, but it's quite funny because again, the guy that I got it from, and he was a stereotypical sort of king of the hill type guy with
Hill? Yeah, Hank Hill.
With the cap and the little skinny moustache and whatever, and he said it's got a Corvette motor in it. And I'm like, dude, it hasn't got a Corvette motor because it's quite clearly got iron heads on it, and if it was a Corvette motor, it'd be aluminum heads, right? So he's like, no, well, it definitely it's a 350 out of a Corvette. I'm like, oh, well, it might be a 350, but it's not a Corvette one. And he tried to tell me it does like 160 miles an hour, and I'm like, yeah, off the edge of a cliff, obviously, but not. So anyway, so he said, oh, it's definitely a 350. He said, we got a junkyard 350, a low mileage one. It was out of a Corvette, and okay, whatever. So, and because I didn't have a clue what the odometer reading was, because it's a typical digital dash that sat in Florida and Georgia and just cooked. So all the gauges just doubled up to nothing. There's nothing on there. I managed to get the odometer fired up and managed to get it to display something. And it was $211,875 miles.
You're on par with me then.
Yeah, so it's half the way to the moon and back.
To the moon.
Back, but no, we got the the gauge running up. That's fine. But the motor that was in it, it just ran like a sewing machine. So like, well, it's definitely okay. It's definitely had a replacement. It's not the original. So I had a good look through it, and there's no valve train noise from it. There's no rod knock, no bottom grumbling or rumbling. The transmission sharp as soon as you select drive or reverse, it snaps into gear. There's no delay. So I'm like, okay, it's definitely had a replacement. And I managed to get the oil pressure gauge working, and it had like 60 pounds of oil pressure at idle. So I'm like, oh, this is a healthy engine.
Yeah, that's a new pump too. That ain't factory.
Yeah. So I'm like, right, okay. But I still decided that while the motor's out, I'm going to tear it down. I've got new oil pump drive shaft. I've got rear main seal, timing cover, new seal. I've got timing chain, sprockets, water pump, all that kind of stuff, all the usual stuff. So I'm going to take the engine to pieces, clean it all, and put it all back together, and do the Craigslist rebuild to paint it and make it look pretty, and then put it all back together. And a buddy of mine is an automatic transmission specialist.
Transmission.
And he's got a fantastic vehicle. You'll see it later on the channel. We're having a car show, a local car show in Alsett in Essex, and it's on the 12th of July. And I'm going to actually have a Big Man Motors stand there this year. We're going to get some cool cars on there. And so my friend Andy, he owns an original late 1960s shape Ford Transit, and it's called Supervan. And again, Michael, you want to Google Supervan or Supervan 1 and see the images and the historic video of that thing going around. It's actually a Cooper Formula One car chassis with a Ford Transit stuck on the top of it.
Why does this sound familiar?
So it's a white transit van with Supervan and the Ford oval on it, and it had the Gurney Westlake Ford GT40 engine and transmission in it.
Oh, shit. Excuse me.
So he owned it back in the 70s when Ford used it for a year for publicity work for the Transit when it was launched, and or just after it was launched. And then it was sold to some other guy, and Terry Drury Racing built it for Ford. So it was sold to this other guy, and then the engine and transmission was taken out, and I think the guy put the engine in a boat or something like that afterwards. You know, it was a real monster of an engine. So then my friend Andy bought it in the 70s, and I want to say he paid something like £1,500, which would have been probably 2 years' salary at the time. He was only an apprentice. Funny enough, he was an apprentice at Ford at the time, and so he paid for that, and then that was just as a rolling shell, no engine and transmission. Then he paid another £1,500 for a sort of GT40 style transmission for it, and then he got a small block V8 that he put in there. And he actually had it as a daily driver, so he actually had the thing road registered, and then he used it for a while, and obviously, you know, what happens, family stuff gets in the way, and the car projects have to thin down, so he sold some of his stuff off, and he regretted selling it, and he'd been looking for it forever since then. And because these chassis there was only 12 chassis of these made, and people said, oh, I've got a Supervan chassis, and so he'd been going out to look at all these things all over the UK for decades. No, not the right one, because he'd owned it, so he drilled various parts and put different brackets on it for side pipes and what else. And eventually someone said to him, right, I've got Supervan's part of the Supervan chassis, the bit that's left, I've got that, and I've got the bulkhead, and I've got part of the cab framework and whatever else. So he said, oh, okay, usual load of crap, I'll kind of have a look. And he looked at it and he went, oh, that is it. That's the bracket. That's the hole I drilled. That's this. So he bought the remains of it, and has then rebuilt it. So Supervan 1 now lives again. That was revealed summer the year before last at an event at Ford Motor Company. And that's when Andy and I became friends. And anyway, so he's a transmission guy. And he said to me, "You're not putting the motor back in kit without letting me run the rule over the transmission first." So as soon as the car comes back, we're taking the transmission out of it because that's just hanging in there at the minute. And he's going to strip the transmission and rebuild it. So we'll have a fresh engine and a fresh transmission to go with the fresh paint and the fresh interior. So it's really exciting. It's all coming together, and I want to get it ready for July so I can get it to this car show.
Yeah, I was hoping to have mine ready for its car show here, but it's not going to make it. The car show's at the end of the month, and she just ain't going to make it. The kids have to finish painting it. And,
yeah,
we had construction at the school, so they were out of our paint shop, and they're out of the shops. For 4 months. So they're way behind in what they need to learn. So it's a whole thing now. But I'm hoping to still get it painted, by the end of school, which is only 9 weeks away at this point.
Wow.
Looking for that's a double-edged sword right there. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
So I mean that's awesome. So you'll have to obviously keep us up to date and and whatnot.
Yeah.
I'll put all the links for your channel in the description and whatnot, so everyone can see that stuff and follow you along. But I mean that's impressive, man. I mean that's a hell of a journey for that car.
It is. It's traveled 4,000 miles and it's now getting completely nut and bolt restoration and put back on the road, and it's going to get loved for the next 40 years. So
if you only kit was done, he could just float across the ocean for you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You wouldn't have had to pay all that shipping cost, just some gas.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
What an idiot! Oh man, the stuff we did.
I was absolutely bricking it because during the time when the car was being shipped across, we had a really, really bad storm, and myself and my wife went over to Ireland on the ferry. So it's an overnight ferry from the west coast of Wales, and you come into Rosslare, which is in like the southeast tip of Ireland. And I'm not very good. I've not got very good sea legs. Put me on a plane or in a car, I'm fine. I don't do well at sea. My family, going back to the sort of 1600s, were all fishermen, and most of them drowned at sea. So us hers don't have a very good reputation when it comes to being on the water. So, and because we're on this overnight ferry, and my wife and stepson, they've got on their bunks, and they've like that just gone straight to sleep. And we've not even got out of the harbour yet, and this thing's rolling from side to side. And I'm frantically googling like, what angle can the ferry get to before it rolls over? And it's like whatever it was, I don't know, 47 or 48 degrees or something. And I'm like, Christ! And I'm holding the angle meter open on my phone, and I've got it up against the underside of the bunk, and we're like 37, 38 degrees. And I'm thinking, oh, we're not even out of the harbour yet. So that night I didn't sleep. Not one bit. And I was thinking about my poor car, because at that time the ship that my car was on was anchored off of the coast of Ireland. So literally, if it had been a clear night, I could have probably seen it. And because I'm thinking, well, I'm doing this in my bunk, my car might be rolling around in the container. I hope it's strapped down properly.
Oh man, that's right.
I just had these visions of the container falling off the ship into the sea.
So you're kind of in the same boat with me. Have you even driven your car before you had taken apart?
I drove it. No, I didn't drive it. If any policemen are watching, I drove it from the end of my road. I had no option. My road is very small and narrow, and people park either side of it, so you can't reverse a trailer down from the main street. So we offloaded it at the top of the road, and I drove it like the 50 feet down the road and straight into the backyard.
Gotcha. Okay.
I did drive it in Detroit, but only, or in Dearborn, sorry, but only for just around my boss's yard and then into the garage.
The lorry
He took it out and put some gas in it, which we had to then drain out before we could ship it. But yeah, he drove it out on the road, and he said it shifted fine, it pulled fine.
Yeah,
everything vibrated, but it drove okay.
My car, I've moved it. I've said many times, I moved it. I had a couple of students that have driven it more than I have.
Yeah.
Up and down our school, but I haven't actually
Yeah.
had really the car on the road or anything.
When I was backing it off the trailer, that it was coming down, you know, the sort of rubber front air dam underneath, that was getting caught on the ramp of the trailer, so we had to go up and reposition the ramp. So I did a burnout going back up the ramp. So I've done a burnout in it already. So it had to be done. But apart from that, no, I've not actually driven it. Again, just in and out of the garage. My wife driven it in and out of the garage, so I could video it. And it sounded awesome. I mean, the mufflers and the exhaust pipe on there, it sounds like a NASCAR. So one of the first things I've got to do is get a quiet exhaust put on there, because obviously, as we know, I want everyone to hear my gas turbine sound generator. Because, you know, while Kit had a little V8 burble in the background, it was relatively silent and you heard the gas turbine. So that's really important. So yeah, I don't want a rude boy loud exhaust on there. I want something that's fairly sort of subtle.
So do I. I would like that too. And I have 3-inch pipes on mine, and they're just loud.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I'm going to figure that one out. That's another project for another day, but you know, so
that's it. And I'm not, as Derek Bieri would say with the gypsum tips, I'm not having those because my exhaust pipes are going to be hidden behind the bumper as well, so I don't want them even to be seen.
Okay.
Just have them all tucked up out the back. Yeah, so the tips point down, but so they're flush with the bottom of the bumper.
Oh, that's not a bad idea. That's cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
But one of the things I am doing though, just for a little bit of fun, I've put various Easter eggs around the car. So I've got my Big Man Motors logo on various bits and bobs. So you know, like the Firebird emblems that go in the window crank holes on the door trims. Mm-hmm. I've made some of those that instead of having the Firebird crest, in fact, that's where this idea came from. So I've done the Firebird crest, but with the Knight helmet on there, and so I've just called it the Night Chicken. That's what my car's known as, is Project Night Chicken. And so I've done those, and I've got my hood scoop. Rather than just have a blank piece of aluminum in there, I've got a nice piece of stainless steel that was laser cut, and then another piece of stainless steel which I've powder coated black, and we fly cut holes in that, and then the BMM script as well. So that's black with the stainless behind it. So I've got the Big Man Motors things that I'll be seeing when I'm driving, looking at the back of the hood scoop. So various little bits and bobs like that. So I'll do, you know, just things to make it mine. But yeah, it's going to be fantastic. I just can't wait. I'm going to be like a little kid.
Yeah. I showed my dash to a buddy of mine last week that he was in town. It's the first time he'd seen it, and he instantly just started geeking out. Like I think everyone does when you see the dash and you start pushing buttons and stuff. It's like we all turn into a 6-year-old kid again watching it for the first time. So yeah, it's pretty impressive. I mean, I'm excited too. So I'm excited for you, obviously.
Thank you.
That's going to be amazing. That's a hell of a story too, Simon. I mean, I think we all appreciate you coming on and telling the story.
Thanks for asking me.
Just getting that car from the States to the UK, that's a hell of a journey within itself. It's not easy or cheap.
No.
To get a car from there, and then just having the car in Europe, the UK, and all that kind of stuff. I think that's just that's just very cool. I think to do.
Even my back bumper's got his own story. I actually on the way to Detroit, I stopped off in Buffalo and picked up my back bumper, and then FedEx that to Detroit, and then flew on to Detroit.
I think it's funny the parts that we have to go through. I mean, obviously here it's easier, and driving around the States is it's a long way. Some of our states. I know I saw an article about a lot of people in Europe and UK think that Americans aren't well traveled, and it's because that 3 hours and I'm still in my state, and especially in Europe, 3 hours you can be in another country. You guys, it's a lot smaller over there, and it takes me 2.5 hours to get to Scott, and he's just across the border.
Yeah, I mean, I've driven to Holland and back in a day.
Oh shit! I'm not getting to Holland. But I drove up to Detroit for a couple of reasons. I went up there to get some seats because I cloned my PMB seats. They're not true PMBs, but I cut the hole in there and I have the right fabric and I've done all the work to fake it. Fake it till I make it because I can't afford the Knightrider tax on those PMB seats.
I was lucky. The stuff I'm seeing now, they're like $1,500-$600 for just the shell of the seats. You've got to put foam on. Luckily with mine, I didn't have to do anything with the foam. The foam was all good. Yeah,
it's crazy. I mean, it's just that was the thing I learned. When I started my journey too, is the Knightrider tax is a real thing. And people are going as soon as because I found out. I was like, I remember calling a guy. I said, I'm looking for. He had a bunch of bumpers. I said, I need a bumper for an 82 to an 84. I said I just like that bumper better. I didn't say anything about Knightrider. He's like, "You build Knightrider?" I was like, "Son of a bitch." Yeah, I'm building Knightrider. Yeah. He's like, "Okay, it's $200." I'm like, "Son of a bitch, man." The other one's $50.
I got it for nothing.
Yeah, it kills me. I'm just like, "Son of a bitch, man."
The guy had it up for I think it was like $20 or something like that. And I messaged him and I said, "Look, clearly you mean $200. You've misprinted." And I said, "Look, give me your PayPal and I'll send you the money." And he went, "No, $20 is fine." And I went, "Do you know what it's worth?" And he went, "It's just junk." He said, "Like it's in the barn. It'll just be out of the way." I said, "Well, give me your PayPal." He said, "I haven't used PayPal for so long. I can't remember my login." So this went on for a few weeks, and I'm like, "Dude, I'm coming out in a couple of weeks. I need to pay you for this so I can get my buddy Brandon to collect it, and then Brandon's going to box it for me. So when I get to Buffalo, I can meet Brandon and we can ship it, and then I can fly onto Detroit." And he went, "Do you know what? Screw it. You can have it for nothing. Just get Brandon to come and get it. There's my details." So I'm like, and the guy wouldn't take any money for it. I said to Brandon, "Offer him cash." No, didn't want any money. Didn't want any.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've had that a few times here and there. I had a guy I met one time at a bar, and I was talking to him about the car and everything. He said, "Well, I got a set of PMD seats. You want them?" Like, yeah. I was like, "But I probably can't afford them." He's like, "Oh man, don't worry about it." He's like, "Give me $100 for them." I was like, "Bro, I can't in good conscience sit here and take these from you. They're worth, even without the Knightrider tax, they're worth more than $100." Yeah. He's like, "No, don't worry about it, man. This sounds amazing. Blah blah blah. I love your project and the kids." And I said, "Dude, I just in good conscience, man. And his wife was there, and she's like, "Well, how much are they worth?" I was like, "Well, they're probably worth at least $300-$400 even without the Knightrider tax." I said, "You put the Knightrider tax on, they're worth $1,500." And she's like, "Oh, and I think he's like, "I've got your number. I'm gonna call you." I never heard from him, so I'm assuming the wife.
Yeah, the wife said they're $1,500 or nothing.
You're selling those, because I haven't seen them pop up on Facebook Marketplace yet, but I'm kind of waiting to see. And I was like, good conscience. Like, I don't have my problem paying for something that's what it's worth. The Knightrider tax kind of kills me because, like, if you weren't building the Knightrider car, would they really be worth? Now, the PMD seats were rare to begin with. But just to say they're $1,500, I've seen them go for $3,000. Just because of Knightrider shit. And I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, I've said that about the wheels for a long time. If it wasn't for Knightrider, nobody would want these ugly ass hubcaps that look like a big bowling ball. But because of Knightrider, $3,000.
Again, I picked my wheels up. I got 15-inch the KRW replica turbo casts. I picked those up for £800 2 Christmases ago from a guy in the UK that decided to abandon his Knightrider project and just sell up and sell everything. And he had bought a dashboard complete with, I think at the time, it was the ID Genali electronics. And the guy that was building his dashboard had taken all the money from him, or taken a massive deposit from him, at least to buy all the parts and buy the dash, and was assembling it all. And the guy was ghosting him for months and months and months. And he said to me, "Look," he said, "do you want to buy me out of the dash?" And he said, "I'll write off what I've already spent." He said, "If you just pay what's owed." But he said, "But I'll let you know now, the guy has been ghosting me, and I don't know if it's going to be 6 months or 12 months before I get the dash." And I'm like, "I can't take that risk." I didn't want to buy someone else's problem, but I bought the wheels from him. He didn't have the hubcaps, but then I reached out to Giuseppe and bought the hubcaps. So
yeah, and I got the Recaro wheels, so you will be able to tell the difference.
By the time you've got them painted up,
but the average person will go, "Yep, those are the right ones." But you know, the average person won't be able to tell. I'll know, and someday, who knows? You know. But the price I got my Recaro wheels for, they're 15-inch, and you know, I called the guy, and you know, I was like, hey, this is what I'm doing, blah 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 blah, and you know, he's like, I said, you know, because he wanted, I think 300, and I said, I got 150 cash. I said, I know I'm lowballing you, but that's what I got. If you want it, he's like, you know what, fucking come get him. Cool.
Yeah.
Because money talks and bullshit walks, and especially with Facebook Marketplace, I've found that so many people. There's so many what I call stroke dicks out there that just waste so much time. If you say, "Look, I'm bringing cash, will you take it?" They'll be like, "Yeah, come get this shit. I'm done."
Yeah.
So
their wife has already told them if they don't get rid of it, she's going to kick them out of the house.
Yeah, the wives. What is it? Those wives are double-edged swords. You know, I mean, it's, sometimes they'll kick you out.
Mine sat behind me, so I've got to be careful. But no, she's been really supportive. We've got an agreement. She doesn't ask me what I spend on car parts, and I don't ask her how much her haircut was.
Fair enough.
So that's the rule. We stick with that, and it works for us. But no, she's really supportive. Her motto is, if you're going to do it properly, and you get the best you can afford. So when I'm doing that kind of stuff, then you know she's good with me doing it. So.
Well, and in fairness too, you know, these cars, you know, I know what I'll have close to 20,000 in my car. And I feel like the car, when it's done, these average cars go for 30 to 35,000 when they're done. So, you know, it's not not a horrible investment, you know, and if God forbid something happened, you needed to turn it into liquid money again, it can be done, and you wouldn't.
You're never going to lose. You're never going to lose.
You're not going to lose. You know, you're not going to make $1 million off it, but you're not going to lose. You know, and that's why I look at my car. You know, and I got lucky. You know, I have a number of sponsors. I have students doing work for me. I have basically a labor force at the school doing all kinds of shit for me, saving me money. You know, so you know, I'm getting a $5,000 paint job for for free, because technically I just got a sponsor for that too. So. You know, so I'm much luckier, you know, and if it wasn't for my little problem with the name that shall not be mentioned, links in the description, you know, I'd have even less into the car, you know, but it is what it is, right? So, but it is a hell of a community, you know, because it really is. Because when I went through my stuff, I mean, Greg was the first one to reach out and be like, "You're not giving this up. We're gonna fix this shit." And the community did. They stepped up, and so many people have helped me and all that kind of stuff. So it's good to know the community is worldwide now.
It's fantastic. I've got absolutely no complaints about the community at all. Everyone's been great. Everyone's been supportive. It's just, you guys is like extended family, and you know, Greg and I are always messaging each other and sending funny shit backwards and forwards, and it's kind of, you know, you end up, you've got friends all around the world and this common interest of cars, right? You know, and people always take the piss and say, "Oh, are you a Ford guy or are you a GM guy?" I'm a car guy.
Yeah.
And if it's cool, I like it.
I'm going to go ahead and we're going to sign off. Scott had to sign off already. But you know, Greg, real quick, anything you want to shout out there?
Start my new job tomorrow. Wish me luck.
Oh yeah. Well, we want a full report tomorrow night of how that went.
Absolutely. Another dealership guy for me. I love it. All right. So yes, good luck to Greg tomorrow. I'm sure it'll be good. I'm a little behind on my editing, but we'll get to that. Simon, thank you so much for coming on. Really do appreciate it. Your story. Obviously, you'll keep us up. I'll put links to your channel in the description so everyone can start following you as well, because that would be awesome as well. And then, So last thing for you, Simon, give a quick sign off for your sign and your channel and all your stuff for us.
Yeah. So if you can, I'd appreciate some follows. Big Man Motors, you see that's the logo. It's a purple logo on the thing, a bit like the one on the shirt there. And I think currently I've got about 290 followers. So it's gone up 20 or 30 in the last month. So it's growing. It's a slow burn. I've got about 62, 63 videos up there, including some shorts. But yeah, generally, if you're interested in the Knight Rider project, and I've shown the whole thing from me first seeing the vehicle. So as I pull into Dan's driveway in the rental car, I had the camera recording on the dash, so you see the car the same time as I do, and then a walk around of it and that kind of stuff. So that's all good fun. There's some stuff on there with the Cosworth. There's the local car show. I put a video up on that. And just watch this space, because as and when the car comes back, obviously there'll be an awful lot more videos on that as I'm putting it together, and then taking it out to show. So the first time I go on the road with it, so I've got to put it through what we call MOT tests, like you guys have, like the annual inspection. We've got to do that. Yeah, until it's 40 years old in the UK, we have to do that. After it's 40 years old, you don't have to do it. But so I'll have to get it through and register it. I've got my own vanity plate for it. We can't have the plates like you guys have. I can't have Knight or anything like that. So I've got E10 KTT. So E10 is in the 10% ethanol fuel, because that's what it's going to run on, and KTT for Knight 2000. That's the closest I could get. So that plate will go on there. But again, I've got to register the vehicle before I can put that plate on.
Good reason to install one of those tag flippers.
Well, they're not allowed here.
We're not allowed here either.
No. A lot of stuff is not allowed.
And do you know what? If I know we're probably running over, but if I had bought the fiberglass rear bumper, I would have been absolutely fine cutting it to make the tag flipper fit. But because I've got the genuine original bumper, I don't want to cut it.
No.
So I've decided all I'll do. I've got the proper chrome frame as well, the same one as on the show. Found that on Amazon, believe it or not, last year. And so what I'm going to do, for the screws that hold the license plate on, I'm going to magnetize those, so when I get to the show, I can just clip the Knight plate on over the top.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide what to do with my plate. So because I like a custom plate or whatever. But Indiana has this thing, and I don't know if all states have this, but if I can find an original 1989 license plate, an Indiana 1989 license plate, I can re-register that plate, whatever number it would be. So I'd have an original 89 license plate on the car. So I can do that, or I can try to find a custom plate on it. Indiana just came out with the black plates that like Montana has and that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, if you want, I can check and see if I Heart Levin is still available in Indiana.
Son of a bitch.
You know what, you son of a bitch? I'm gonna drive down there and I'm gonna kick your ass. How's that? I like them apples. You like them apples? Okay. I'm kicking somebody down. Oh yeah, I should get that on there.
Oh yeah,
11.
Son of a bitch.
That's right. Well, all right. So, gentlemen, yes, thank you so much once again. I'll get this out here soon and all that kind of stuff. So we'll sign off. So I appreciate your time.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks again. Take care. You have a good one.
You do.
And